Good afternoon. Arlene Schiffer here from MJ's Handmaids, or MJ's Blues and Dance Club, a live virtual venue inside a program called Second Life, the best virtual program, 3D type community you can ever become a member of. Just ask around. It's not a game. It's awesome. Anyways, today I'm starting to do a follow along, not necessarily a tutorial, but a follow along for Willy Jr. Willy Jr. is a storybook character from 2000 that I had written, and he's got quite the story. Anyways, we're going to be doing his hands, but we're not going to attach them to a skeleton body. We're going to make earrings out of them. You can do it in silver, and when I do them in silver, I'll do it with a half round, 21 gauge half round on an 18 gauge dead soft base wire. And today we're going to do it in copper. I'm going to use an 18 gauge base wire frame, around there. And the only tools that you're going to really need, and it really is your choice, is good flat nose and some cutters. That's really all you're going to need. If you want to use your round nose, it's really your choice, but you just need to flatten down some wires and then clip them. There's nothing real fancy going on here. But the wrapping wire I'm going to use is to make the fingers, to make them good and stiff, because they're going to be hanging. Our hair is stronger than you know, and if you have long hair that you're going to be wearing them with, if they get caught in it, your hair could actually bend the fingers if they're a little smaller. So we're going to go with a 21 gauge and wrap it around pardon me, an 18 gauge frame wire. And the other tools that I use, these are maybe 3-4 inches long. They're not very long at all. And they are a 16 gauge. You can use a 14 gauge if you want to. I just cut these off of some reclaimed house wire. And they're good, kind of hard. Not hard, but in between a dead soft and a half hard. I can bend them, but then they don't want to. So, but I use these to make my cannabis leaves, as well as Willy's fingers and hands. So you'll see what I'm talking about in a moment. I'm going to, for each hand, I don't need a lot of this. I'm going to go with maybe a foot. Don't really need much more, but I'm a little nervous about doing just a foot. I've never measured this, so I'm going to go with about 18 inches. It's about 12, and 6 makes 18, so about here. I'm going to cut it. Yeah, I can do that. A little doohickey. I'm going to actually cut it there. So it's going to be a little bit less, maybe 17 inches. But you might want to go 18 just to be safe. I hope this isn't too short. Again, I am not a teacher. I'm not an instructor. I'm not a master at this. I'm not a professional. I'm just art. That's it. I like to sling wire, play with wire, craft with wire, however you'd like to call it. I am not a professional, so no blaming me if this doesn't come out right. Also, I'm not a very good teacher or instructor or anything like that. Again, this is more of a follow-along. My best suggestion is to pause and rewind if you get a little bit lost, or if I go off camera, forgive me. I'm not a photographer either, or a videographer, or a vlogger, or a blogger. I just enjoy life. So, enjoy it with me for a moment. First thing we want to do is get our wire This is really nasty cloth, but it still cleans. Give it a couple of wipes. Okay, I usually will clean it with Dawn cleaner. You don't have to make this as straight as possible. You're going to be bending them anyways, the 18 gauge frame wire. So if you have leftovers, scraps, bits and pieces, then it'll be perfect. Straighten it out the best you can, and because you don't need a lot. And this is why we don't throw stuff out, because 3-4 inch pieces will become something eventually. I will need this in a minute. First thing I want to do is wrap my 21 gauge around my base wire 5 times. This fastens it and starts the little hand, gives it more of a look. 2, 3, 4, 5, and yeah, it does get a little bit hard to do because it's a thicker wire. Squish this together kind of nicely. I'm going to need my lamp. Pardon the light. Okay, I'm just checking because I'm blind, so I have to check and make sure I'm doing this right. And squish it together so it looks halfway decent. First thing I'm going to do is take 2 of my rods. Should I do 2? I think it's 2. I'm going to do 2 of my rods. Bink. Put them on top, right on top of the 18 gauge. Take this wire and go around them. Flatten it down. Use your finger to flatten it down, holding the back so it's as straight as possible. Give it a good squeeze. Bring it down around all the way down to the back, and then up over and wrap once around your base wire. Bloop. Back up from the bottom over to the front. Add 2 wires. 2 more of the what we're going to call tools. Add 2 more tool wires. Flatten this out, your wrapping wire out. Go around once, and you just made the index finger. And there's only 5 fingers, remember, so this isn't that strenuous. Back around the base wire. Make sure these are on tight. Yeah, they're good enough. I'm going to add another one, and this is our center finger. Boot. Give it a squeeze. Make sure it's down there. Bring it down. Again, around your base wire. Make sure they're not overlapping. I have to check on my magnifying lamp because I'm blind, once again. So here we have 3. 1, 2, 3 fingers. Now if you look at your hand, or if you look it up and you want to be scientifically and correct, our fingers are not even, not 2 or even. So I'm just going to take this 1 wire out, and it's going to end up being the same size as my index finger, but it won't be that noticeable because you can make it a little bit larger when we bend the tips forward. You'll see. So here's finger number 4. Squish it down, make sure everything's nice and flat. If you have to use a tool like nylon flatheads, the flat jaw, to flatten it out, go right ahead. There are no rules, no laws, and nothing of the sort when it comes to wire wrapping. Art is art. To just cut and dry. So that's 1, 2, 3. We have our 4th finger coming in. And now we're going to wrap it around the base again. Each time you make a finger, 1 wrap up and then down around the base. Wrap up, down around the base. And now we're going to do the pinky. Itty bitty pinky. Make sure these are flat. Come on. Okay, to do the pinky, we have to remove another rod. And then we bring the wire back up. Make sure you smush it down so it's flat, not tight, because you still need to remove these, but you want to make sure it's squished down. And then around, because this is finger 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, wrap it around your base wire 5 times. 1, 2, 3. Oopsie. Let's straighten that out. Yep, mistakes happen. You're not perfect unless you make mistakes. Mistakes make you learn. And if you don't correct them, they become regrets. So always correct your mistakes. Okay, 1, how many was that? 2, 3, and 4, and 5. Bink. I can actually cut this off now, which I'm going to do because they get in the way. I'm going to give somewhat of a tail in case I need to wrap around 1 or 2 more times. I'm just pulling out these guys. And there we have it. You leave the base wire. Don't take that out. Give it a good squeeze together. Don't go too far. Try to be on top of your wires when you squeeze them together, because your base wire or frame wire could bend and kink, and that'll just blow your day. Okay, now we want to flatten the fingers out and give them a curve. So we do that. I need my layer. I can turn it down. Not so bright on everybody. Come on, little buddy. Okay. We're going to flatten these down by taking flat nose. I have these are, I believe, a 1.5 millimeter. So this is 1.5 millimeter wide. And they're specific for bending, making good bends in your, like prong rings. You want a nice sharp fold to your wire. That's what these were made for. I know they go up to 4 millimeter. I think that he even makes a 5 millimeter. Right now I have 1, 1.5, and 2 and 3 millimeter sizes. And they're not cheap, but they're awesome. So it's something to consider. Preston Ruppers, I believe, is the trademark. He's been around for some time. But let's get back to the tutorial. So I'm gonna squish these down. I'm gonna show you how I do that. I think. No, I'm not gonna do that to you. I am gonna make it so I can see. Right. Get your flat nose over the finger, front and back, and give it a squish. Be gentle, go slow, take your time. You want to make sure you're doing it right. It's giving me double vision. I'm going to squish this wire closer. The finger wire, I'm going to squish it closer to the frames, so they're kind of locked in there. Not too many bumps. And then I just take them and I flatten them out. Oopsie. And see how it's getting flat? get your, you can hold them with your fingers however it makes you comfortable and do it right and straight, unlike I just did. And just squish the best you can. And again, I really can't see what I'm doing. I need a magnifying lamp for pretty much every project I do, so I apologize. Which I shouldn't have to do. And that's finger number 2. And remember, they're skeletons. They're going to look a little rough. Next one. Try and get them as tight as you can. Straighten them. Get this little guy finished. Whoopsie. And I also apologize if I get muffled. I'm talking into my lamp. Okay, we have 5 fingers squished. Look at, it's a mess. That's okay. We're not done. There's a lot of points with your wire wrapping. You're going to be discouraged because it just looks like hell. Cut and dry. But when you're finished and it all comes together pretty nicely. So relax, take your time, and if you do make a mistake, remember, that's how we learn. Correct it so it doesn't become a regret. That's how we get regrets. We create them ourselves. Like this, I might be regretting those. Kidding. Okay, I got that squished together as best I can. I'm just gonna start my fold. I'm not bending this wire. I'm bending the whole hand to kinda the whole hand anyways. I just get them a little even. And you're gonna adjust the fingers in a minute. And then pinch so that your wires line up, the base wires. If you need your tool to help, that's perfectly fine. Again, no rules, no laws, do what's comfortable. And there's some weaves, I'd like to get into that someday. There's some weaves people are claiming copyrights issues to. Unfortunately, a lot of this stuff goes back to ancient times. You're going to find jewelry back during Cleopatra days. And I had come across somebody who had came across a product that was made way back during those times and claimed it was their design. So I brought up an article that proved them wrong. But at any rate, most of it's public domain. So don't worry about it. Like certain weaves, crisscross, infinity weave, whatever you want to call it, crazy 8, or the ladder weave. Other people have a different name to it. They're been around forever and ever and ever. Nobody can claim the rights. Swirls, excuse me, you want to claim rights to swirls? All I've got to say is bite your own shorts. Done. Rant over. Sorry. Let's finish this. You can clip these. Clip the little wire ends. I'm going to clip them so they're kind of on the inside of your wrap, halfway around the wire type thing. That way, it's not going to touch your skin or a client's skin. Get that down. I can't see what I'm doing. I'm pretty sure I've got it going on. I do know when I'm done with this, I'll have to go through and touch it up under the lamp, my magnifier. This one might be short. Actually, too long. Great. Here we go. Huh. Okay, put that one down. I don't know if you can see that, but it's kind of in there. You want to get it so that it's kind of on the inside. And now we loop. Ouch. Squeeze them together. You kind of do want one in front of the other so that it comes together. And this is going to be kind of tricky because everything's going to want to twist, but as tight as you can. One twist around. And squish it right down in there. This you're going to cut so it's kind of on top of where you start your bend around. And then squish it down. That's a little too large. I'm going to get it right down. Squished. Almost looks like it's on. We have 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Little nervous. And we're going to make our loop. With this, you might want your needle nose. I do use, to keep things uniformed in one size, if I don't mark my needle nose, put a nice mark on it with a Sharpie, which wears off after a couple of uses. If you mark it, it'll help you keep your loops uniformed. You line up your wire onto the mark, and that'll help you keep uniformed. But I'm too lazy for that right now. So I'm going to use bail makers, jump ring makers. I don't know what you want to call them. Back in the day, they were called bail makers. But I don't know, people change it. I'm using the small one. I believe it's a 2mm or 3mm size hole loop. And I'm just going to twirl it around straight so I can wrap it around. And I do want it so that the hoop, oh no, earrings, right. So we go this way. Okay, you want the hoop to be facing you because the earring hooks are like shepherd hooks. And we're just going to close this up, straighten stuff out, and earring 1 is done. And a Willy hand. Well, I'll show you how to do the fingers, of course. I'm going to get that nice and tight. Let me see if I can. A little bit easier for you. easier for me, I'm going to squish this down. Give it a cut. What a mess. Oops. Get it down. Okay, we have that. Now, fingers. This is the thumb. So that's always just going to be at the tip and just fold it up. These guys want to kind of get them to look like fingers, so bring them on up. Don't be afraid. And then what we can do is you take them, straighten it out. Then you can actually take the tip, make sure I'm in there right, straight. Get it in there. Good. Try to give it a little fold down. See? I'm gonna take it like this instead because that one's driving me crazy. Down, down. Gonna put this one down a little bit more than this one. Maybe. No, they're gonna be the same size. It's not a big deal. Believe me. And there you have a Willy hand. You can oxidize. Which I have done, and they come out really nice. Oxidized. Of course, I put it away, so I can't show you right now. Hold on. Okay, you can oxidize, like I was saying. So I pulled out a pair that I had oxidized, so you can see them. See, these here, they're kind of flipping everybody off, so it's a little bit different. That's why we did this one a little bit different. So it kind of looks werewolf-like, which would be cool on a skeleton. Here's another pair. Gotta adjust that. They're turned around. But as you can see, we got the little fingers are pretty defined there, and they look like hands, skeleton hands. I hope you enjoyed this. I certainly did. It didn't take long. Again, Arlene Schiffer. I'm the owner of MJ's Handmaids. You can join our group in Facebook, MJ's Handmaids. You can also find a link to my website somewhere in here, and I believe it's at the top of the screen or something. There's a couple buttons. Yeah, I'm really good with YouTube. Also, you can I have some free PDF downloads on my website, mjsblues.com. No registration. You don't have to send me your email or anything. It's just, we always have had for the past 20 years an open door policy. That's how it is. So go visit the website, download a few tutorials if you want to. You won't find this guy in there yet. He comes out once a year, and he's not free. So if you want to know how I make Willy himself, with all of his groovy moving parts and feet and hands. And where I find the heads, I search high and low for them, but every piece is made by hand and assembled. This is separate, these are separate, the feet are separate, the whole pelvic area is separate with the spine. Ribs are 2 different pieces, so it's a challenge. Not a challenge, but something to do on a weekend. So, but yeah, and these heads, there's this one here. He's the pirate. You look inside the eye. These are hand carved. You look inside his eye. There's another skull. I have another one. Looks like somebody from out back in the 80s with the where the hair is. It also has a skull for an eyeball, which the creator, it's very, very cool. They're also vintage. They're about 30 years old. So yeah, I search high and low for my stuff. Very, very different. But I hope you enjoyed this. Please subscribe to my channel if you'd like to. I come out with a video once or twice a month. At least I try to. We're in the process right now of packing to move, so it might be a few extra weeks before I get a video out to you. Any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. You can hit me up in Facebook or whatever your preference might be. I even have a contact form on my website, so I'm always available. Thanks for watching, and have an excellent day.